in the Lake Zurich Police Department. 6E, ordinance amending the provisions of the Lake Zurich Zoning Code, Title 9, and Land Development Code, Title 10, assigned ordinance 2025-07-616. 6F, ordinance granting final plan approval for the PUD and approving and authorizing the execution of a development agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and SN Venture LLC relating to the development of the reserves of Lake Zurich, assigned ordinance 2025-07-617. 6G, resolution for revised special event road closures for Lake Zurich Triathlon, assigned resolution 2025-07-103. 6H, agreement with American Garage Floor Systems for repair and refinishing of the Fleet Services garage floors in the amount not to exceed $39,800. 6I, release of surety for Jerry Marie site improvements at 550 Enterprise Park. 6J, release of surety for Jerry Marie addition at 1275 Ansel Road. 6K, reduction in surety for 7 Brew at 880 South Rand Road.
Thank you. I would like to pull for discussion several items, D, E, F, and K. And I'm going to ask the board if there's anybody on the board who wishes any other item pulled for a separate vote or discussion. No? Nope. Okay, so let's go. First item for discussion would be item D, an agreement with Lake Consolidated Emergency Communications for providing a backup communications center and lease agreement for repurposing of dispatch space in the Lake Zurich Police Department. Chief, can you just give us a little bit of an update of where we are and what this means for us in Lake Zurich? And all the items here that I've asked to be pulled are just more for information and discussion than anything else, so.
Sure. So dispatch consolidation across the county of Lake is continuing. The new center, LakeCom, and the Regional Operations Center has been built, have had a ribbon cutting. The emergency management has moved into that building. We are in the process. LakeCom is a separate government cooperative that is leasing space from the county of Lake for the dispatch center. That center is waiting for approval from the state to start operating and to get the last bit of technology installed. One of the things that dispatch centers are required to have is a backup center. We have been approached by this consolidated center to see if we would be interested in doing that. We already are the backbone of technology and server space for the Lake County Emergency Telephone Systems Board. So it's logical that a lot of our infrastructure is coordinated with them in this new organization. We did not have plans for that space once our dispatch center closes and we transition to the new center. So we began working on a lease agreement that provides us with some financial incentives to allow the space to be used. In addition, the space will need to be renovated at the cost of the Emergency Telephone Systems Boards or LakeCom, whichever is operating at that point, to essentially remove all of our old dispatch equipment. And then the group is paying a couple $100,000 of new equipment to go in to be used as a backup center. We're about the only center currently in the county that could house the backup center based on our space considerations. But it's good for us to have that. We are a key member of that consolidated effort, and going on as the backup center is financially advantageous for the village, but also shows our commitment to the larger project.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions from anybody on the board?
I do.
Yes, Mark Spicone.
Thank you for that update. It starts at 17,000 a year, or is there a progressive escalation of cost for that? It's a true 25 years that it's spread out for the estimation of the costs? How is that all working?
So it's severed by 1 year. So because this is a startup of a multi-jurisdictional organization, the County of Lake is leasing the space to Lakecom. They've given them the first year to not have lease fees, and we have written our agreement the same. So starting the next year, $17,000 a year, and then it goes up in progressive increments of 3% a year, and then follows a CPIU after that.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks,
So
Chief.
we can
Oh,
budget for that revenue is what I was getting at.
You what?
That we could budget for that revenue year by year at that point. That's what I was just getting at. Thank you.
Finance Director's nodding her head in approval.
With a smile.
Okay, yeah, with a smile. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Chief. Item E is an ordinance amending the provisions of the Lake Zurich Zoning Code Title IX and Land Development Code Title 10. Sarosh, can you give us a little update on what all that means?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, there are two items in the municipal code that are being requested to amend our municipal code. The first one is an amendment to the text of the special districts chapter, adding a new article whereby municipal uses, properties, and structures may be exempt from any extraordinary zoning review through either a special use process or a plan unit development process. The reason for this is the fact that all municipal buildings, uses, and structures, if they require any work or changes, do get approved financially by the village board prior to any of these kinds of zoning reviews, and as such, would be approved anyway. And as such, to speed up the process and continue to deliver the services that the village provides for these uses that provide public benefit, we are requesting that they be exempt from any special review through the zoning process. The second item is essentially adding a provision to the zoning code and the land development code to set a limitation on the time of development of larger projects such as PUDs and subdivisions, et cetera. So far, we don't have anything in the code that provides for that, and so we're instituting a time limit of 2 years within which a development needs to be completed unless an alternate timeline has been submitted by the developer and approved by the village. Now, failure to meet either the timeline set by the village or the 2-year time limit, that would give the village the authority to draw down on their letter of credit that would be set up for such improvements. So those are the two amendments being proposed to you or presented to you for approval tonight.
And part of that is the timely completion of projects,
Yes.
which hadn't been codified before, and we've discussed it at this dais a couple of times. So this
Yes.
now puts it in the books as a requirement.
Yes.
And it'll be discussed with any future developer as they come
Absolutely,
forward.
yes.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Next one is F. Item F, an ordinance granting final plan approval for the PUD and approving the authorizing of the execution of a development agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and SN Venture LLC relating to the development of the reserves of Lake Zurich. That's the OSK project. And could you bring us up to date with the changes in this one now?
Yes. When this first came to you in 2022 and early 2023, it was for 50 townhouses within 12 buildings. And at that time, too, it was a reduction from an earlier proposal from 52 units to 50 units. In January of 2023, this project got denied by the village board for reasons related to density, use of materials, and location and configuration of the project. Later in 2023 and early 2024, the development was resubmitted to the village. Thanks. The development was resubmitted to the village with a number of changes, most significantly a change in the configuration and the number of units. What was proposed in 2024 was a total of 36 units, of which 18 were single-family homes, 12 units proposed along the north side of the development with garage-forward configuration, more conventional single-family home development, 6 units proposed along the east side of the development facing Bushing Road with garages to the rear, more of a traditional development, and then townhomes in the form of two configurations. 3-story townhomes towards the center of the subdivision, and 2-story townhomes facing Old Rand Road, in order to reduce the impact of those particular townhomes on surrounding residential properties and adjacent residential properties. With this submittal, we found that the reduced density, the use of materials, the configuration of the units, but more particularly the fact that they came back with a strong proposal to stabilize the creek that flowed along the north side of the property, together with stabilization such as proper vegetation, hard armoring, very similar to the projects that the village has conducted these past few years. We find that this is a far more acceptable project to look at. This project was brought to you in September of last year for preliminary plan approval, which it did get approval of preliminary plan. And so this evening, they've come back to you with final plan approval to confirm that the final plan is largely in substantial conformance with the preliminary plan that you already approved.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask one of the principals to come to the podium? And identify yourself and name and address, please.
Good evening. Lawrence Friedman, 95 Revere Drive, Northbrook. I'm the attorney for the owner.
I have one question for you, and it's a question that we've talked about on the panel here a number of times as we've gone through the process, which, by the way, is 2,000% better than what we saw the first time.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. One of my biggest concerns, though, is the stormwater management issue that the property has. And I wanted to hear from you that you are willing to abide by all of the things that the staff has talked about and required on stormwater management on that property.
Well, we clearly are. And just to add a little bit, we got preliminary approval as indicated in Soros's comments in September. And the major thing we've been doing is working with staff extensively since that time to go to final approval by addressing what primarily have been engineering questions, and includes stormwater management, and includes, well, Soros can expand on that, but we have put a tremendous amount of time in, as has your staff, addressing all those issues, and we absolutely will be in compliance.
Well, and the reason I ask that is because we've been burned in the past as the community has developed with stormwater management issues that hadn't been addressed properly at that point in time. And so we've had to go back and fix many of them, so.
We have, and I don't know.
Get you while you're here.
You can get me while I'm here. I don't know if it's your normal process, but we not only dealt with staff on engineering questions, but your outside consultant, Manhart, was also heavily involved too. So they were very detailed on what they wanted, and I believe, and Soros will confirm for me, that what we have submitted is in compliance with their requests.
That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. When are you going to start? I know you got the fences up around the property. And
Well, that kind of starting is minimal, to clear the area and everything else. The actual construction, I don't know, because normally when you start getting into fall, you get pushed over sometimes in early next year. I couldn't say at this point.
Right. Okay, good deal.
Thank
you very much. The last item for me is item K, reduction in the surety for 7 Brew at 880 South Rand Road. My question to Soros is that we've had some landscaping and other issues on that property, and I want to make sure that it's all done with our approval. The neighbors have been taken care of. You know, we end up with a lot of projects that don't get finished for one reason or the other, or takes us 10 years to get streetlights or roads paved or something. And we've taken care of that tonight, and I want to make sure that this is taken care of as well, so.
Yes, they've met all of the requirements, in particular reference to the stormwater swale at the rear of the property,
Right.
which was constructed a little lower than what the proposed drawings had called out for. And so to compensate for that, they replaced the fence that they had put in with a higher fence.
Okay.
And so that gave them the same amount of screening and yet allowed them to meet the stormwater requirements. All landscaping has been planted and inspected by our staff, and at this time, we've granted them a temporary occupancy to begin and continue their operations. Once all of the landscaping is established and germinated, we will have them come back with a request for a final occupancy. We'll do an inspection and only then grant them final occupancy.
Well,
This
it's,
evening, we are going through a routine process of reducing their surety down to maintenance so that we could be assured that all of the stormwater and other utilities on the site continue to be in a state of maintenance for the next 2 years, after which we would release it and/or accept those utilities as needed.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would request that item F be pulled for a separate vote from the consent agenda.
Item F.
Correct.
We'll move it to new business. Yeah. We'll move item F to new business.
Thank you.
Is that okay? Okay, then, anybody else have any comments on the consent agenda? Then I would like to make a motion to approve the consented agenda as presented, except for item F, which has been moved to new business, and I need a second, please.
So moved, Spacone.
And Kathleen, would you please call roll?
Trustee Baradwaj,
Aye.
Trustee Marks,
Aye.
Trustee Riley, Trustee Spacone,
Aye.
Trustee Sugru,
Aye.
Trustee Wyder.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the consent agenda passes. We move on to new business. There is no new business listed here, but we have a request from Trustee Wyder to move item F of the consent agenda to new business. So I'm going to make Trustee Wyder read the summary.
Okay.
That's not punishment either.
Okay. Ordinance granting final plan approval for the PUD and approving the authorizing of the execution of a development agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and SN Venture LLC relating to the development of the reserves of Lake Zurich. Ordinance 2025-07617 for the final plan, and ordinance 2025-07618 for the development agreement.
Okay, comments from the board on this item? Anybody? Anybody? Greg? No?
Nope.
Okay, want to make the motion?
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Marks.
You would entertain, you made the motion to approve item F as presented,
I'd like to make the motion to approve item F as presented.
okay? That good?
Second Marks.
Okay, and the second was Jake? And Kathleen, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Marks,
Aye.
Trustee Riley,
Aye.
Trustee Spacone,
Aye.
Trustee Sugru,
Aye.
Trustee Wyder,
Nay.
Trustee Baradwaj.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, and that's the end of the new business for tonight. We move on to trustee reports. Are there any trustee reports tonight? Nope. Okay, move on to village staff reports. We have one, Rita Cruz.
Yep.
Our new finance director gets a chance to speak for the first time.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about the treasurer's report, which was published in the Daily Herald per state statute on June 26th, 2025, for the fiscal year 2024. This report just has some details about our vendors, our revenues and expenses in a very high-level summary. This is the first portion, I should say, of the future where we will bring the auditor up and we'll talk about the full audit at a future date. I'm not quite sure what date that is right now. We need to look at their schedules, our calendars. This is a little bit later than normal. IMRF which is the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, had some complications in what reporting they needed to provide to us. So it's been delayed a little bit, but that is perfectly fine. We're just about a month late or so, and in compliance with everything else we need to do to get it done.
Okay, that's it? Okay. Anybody else on the staff have anything they want to add tonight? Ray, anything from you?
No, sir.
No? Okay, well, that concludes our business for tonight. May I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting and a second, please?
Motion to adjourn, Spacone.
And a second.
Second, Marks.
Kathleen, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Riley.
Aye.
Trustee Spacone.
Aye.
Trustee Sugru.
Aye.
Trustee Wyder.
Aye.
Trustee Baradwaj.
Aye.
Okay, our next meeting is Monday, July 21st. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll
7:30
see you in July 21st. We are adjourned.